Hi everyone, thank you for joining me on this video. What a work-intense day. I already made 2 pours today that I filmed live. I wanted to see if this is going to work for me or if I totally fail and need to do the voiceover. I have filmed them. I need to let the pours dry and make the voiceover for the finishing part and make the video and upload and blah blah blah. And you have to tell me in the end if you like the direct voicing more than the voiceover, or if I should do the voiceover. And besides that, I just made myself some dinner because Patrick is off work for now, and I decided to make another voiceover to show you what is going to happen in this video. So what actually is going to happen is some new resin work, as you can see from the thumbnail already. And as I have new pigments, I want to test them with my resin. I am not overly entirely sure if this is going to work as I want to, because the resin that I'm using, you've seen me use this quite often before. It is a quite thin one compared to the other resin, which I've used the very first time when I started with the resin. It is a bit thicker. And this resin, which I'm using here and which I'm basically used to use now, is way cheaper, but half as thick, if you can say this. So it's a bit runnier, which might be a problem, but not sure. So I ordered myself some different kind of pigments, which is just the color pigment that colors are made of. And I want to use these to color in my resin because these pigments should not react with the resin itself. If you put acrylic paints into the resin, the structure of the resin changes and it is going to cure way quicker. And it always makes it a bit blobby once it's starting to cure. So if you're not working quickly, this might get problematic. I have not so much had an issue with the art resin though, but with the cheaper resin I did have some struggles on larger projects where I was running out of time and it was getting extremely hot when it was curing. So I really had to hurry that not so much resin was on the artwork or in the cup, because if there was loads of resin in the cup, it was just immediately gone. It's going to get thicker and stuff, and I was not able to use it anymore. So I wanted to test it with the pigments, and I also got some glitter and I got some pearl pigments, which is really fine golden pigment, and I think copper and silver and stuff I also have in there. And I also have the resin paste, which I have here in the video as well for the darker parts, and some metallic acrylic paints, which I know is going to cure the resin way quicker than all the other stuff that I'm going to try here. So what I want to try, I so far only used canvases, and canvas and resin in a way is a struggle because the canvases never are really even and level, because they are always a bit saggy towards the middle. So color and whatsoever tends to flow towards the middle, and it is difficult to create certain effects that I want to achieve in my future project. So this one is again a more experimental thing that I want to see how it works in general, if the resin is too runny, if I'm using too much resin, if the pigments work, whatever stuff can happen. I want to test out, and on the way, of course, as usual, show you how I fail or succeed, in case you want to try something similar, that you know what to expect actually. And for me, the most important thing is not having a somewhat pretty end result. It would be nice having a pretty end result, but the most important part for me was testing how the pigments reacted. So if they do what they should do, if I like what they're doing, if the resin is too liquid for this, if I'm using too much resin after all, all this stuff. Besides the acrylic fluid painting, the mixing of the resin is quite simple. It depends on the resin that you own. Just have a look at it, what it says you to mix it together. So if it's 50-50, mine is 100 grams versus 60 grams. But every resin is a bit different, so have a look at the ones that you have. And mix it together, mix it well together, and I just divided it into smaller cups and added the different kinds of pigments that I'm having. Some of the pigments were more opaque than others, and for this experiment I used an MDF board, which I painted white in the beginning just to have a more bright background, which, having a look at afterwards, was not a good idea, because I should have painted it dark. What I've learned on the way is that once your background is really vibrant and white in this case, the pigments are not going to show as pretty as on a dark background. So when I poured all my pigments together, I wanted to create some kind of geode look, because this was something I'm going to try more in the future. I have done a geode quite recently on the same MDF boards, which I painted darker in the beginning. And I filmed actually this video before the geode, but I was so thrilled to show you that I uploaded this one earlier. So this test here was actually done before I made the geode painting. So yes, I do have some of the older videos still here in my store, not yet voice-overed and waiting to be done. So this was something I've learned from this attempt here. So my first geode attempt did not work as planned here. As you can see, the colors are quite light, not as vibrant as I hoped to, because the canvas white, or the MDF board white in this case, is showing through too much. And the resin itself seems to be too liquid, or I've used too much. I don't know. It actually was flowing around, not staying where it's supposed to be. I liked the colors though, so the pigment really worked great, especially the pearl gold one. I loved it. It really made it pop, it made it vibrant, it made it opaque in a way. The best color, of course, was the black. It was the most opaque one. So this was actually a pigment paste meant for resin. I've ordered a couple of colors and you've seen me use these before in other videos. And these are, not interacting with the resin itself, the most opaque color here. And what I've seen on the very first attempts here, when I made some droplets of the gold on top of the black, it was really outstanding. So it was still vibrant and it was nice. So this was the point where I learned, okay, you need to have a darker background to make everything pop more than on a white background. And as I hated the look of the geode attempt, what I did at the very beginning, I just mixed all the resin together and scraped it over the surface to have a somewhat even darker color to play with some more. I did not want to scrape it off entirely, because this would have meant having a white surface again. So I wanted to use the color that was already on there, mix it together to have something dark, and then go on with testing. And in basically my second layer, so I didn't let it dry in between, I still continued. I wanted to go away from the geode attempt because this was failing too much. I wanted just to do some lines and to see how separated the colors stay in a way, how good the pigments react, if everything remains opaque or is getting opaque in the end. So I just made some vertical lines and liked actually the look of it. I in a way struggled a bit with the contrast, so I had these lines poured and it looked a bit boring, so I decided to add white in between these stripes just to have some kind of contrast into it. The white in a way vanishes all the time, so I had to do this a couple of times to make it stand out. And what I did not realize when I was creating this piece, although I tried to have everything really level, I obviously did not have everything really level, because things are going to flow to the bottom left corner, which I just saw here in the footage when I sped up the entire thing. I could see how everything was flowing to this edge, which was a bit annoying because I really thought it was level. My entire table is level and I put it on my pouring cups, which should be level as well, but obviously it was not. And it does not really take much of, oh my god, what is the word? If it is only a couple of degrees not level, everything is going to start flowing, especially with the resin. It was not that much a thing with the art resin because it was thicker. I could have waited until this resin is going to cure and getting thicker. So I just put it on and actually wanted to see what is happening. Nevertheless, when everything stopped flowing around, I only had a very thin layer of resin on the artwork itself, which made me learn that it does not need so much resin on the artwork. If you mix in these pigments, and especially the gold stuff and such, and you use enough of the pigments, only a very thin layer of resin is enough. So it really works great. You can use very little resin after all, which I've learned in this pour, and I'm still trying to get a hang for it, how much of it you actually use. I most of the time just use too much. And this is something really important that I've learned here. It is still self-leveling, so everything is perfectly fine. And in my upcoming attempts, tutorials, I will see if I can actually manage the resin. I also ordered myself some of the art resin again, so I have this here already, and see if I can experiment with this one very soon again. I also have some other ideas for geodes again, and more stuff is coming. And if you have a certain color palette wish or something, just let me know. I will see what I can do. Yeah, so far for now, I will have filmed the end result in live again, and I hope you liked it so far. So see you in a couple of seconds. So everything is dry and it held its shape. So this is the end result. This is what it looks like. Not as I have intended it to look in the very first place, but in the end it turned out still better than I expected. What I have learned out of this piece, probably not using a very white underground as I did here. But after all, not that bad. I will experiment with this any further, and I also will experiment on doing some kind of structure and underpainting on the canvas or on the board first, and then adding layers of resin over it with probably some pigments into it to make it look a bit more deeper and give the entire piece a bit more depth. In total, this looks in a way kind of pretty, and it looks pretty in real life. I will try to lighten up in the video a bit so that it is brighter as it is here now in my filming video. But anyways, this is the result. It works great. So all of the pigments that I've used work. If you want to have a look at them, I will link them down below in my description. So I hope you like this result. I do like it. And if you're new to my channel, please make sure to subscribe. You know how it works. Leave a comment below if you have questions or suggestions, color wishes. And besides these acrylic or resin artwork, I also have some realism. So plenty of videos for you to play around and to spend your time watching. Thank you for your time, thank you for watching, and until my next video, I wish you a great day. Bye bye!